Hey guys, and welcome to my video review of Transformers Generations Deluxe Class Nightbeat. Now, Nightbeat is quite a cool character. I really like the way he's depicted in the IDW comics, especially as of late. He's just a very clever, smart character. He's a detective of sorts, and he's just brilliant, and I really like him. And I'm glad to see him get a toy, though originally he was supposed to be made out of the Reveal the Shield / United Autobot Jazz mold, but they decided to switch it over to the Generations Bumblebee mold, which I'm actually okay with overall in the robot mode. At least to me it makes a bit more sense, and I'll get into that later, but I'm okay with that call. And it's a decent figure anyways, so yeah, I'm okay with that. The vehicle mode itself is nice. I like the blue. It's very Nightbeat. The yellow and the blue, it looks like Nightbeat, and I like it. The only thing I don't like, however, about the vehicle mode are these weapons. They're too big, and they don't make any sense, at least on Nightbeat, because that's not what Nightbeat is. He doesn't have these giant weapons on the side. So I'm going to go ahead and take those off, and I'm going to put them together for the robot mode. Go ahead and flip down one of the handles. And that will be his gun for robot mode. I'm going to go ahead and set that off to the side for now. Now, just for a bit of size comparison, here he is next to Generations Bumblebee. They're the exact same mold, but I just really want to show them off side by side in their vehicle modes. Instead of having paint decals on the top, he has them on the sides. He has the red and white flames instead of the black stripes. He's got some paint there at the bottom instead. Everything else pretty much the same, just variation on the colors. The only real thing that's different about Nightbeat is his head in robot mode. Everything other than that's pretty much just paint, so it's mostly a repaint of Bumblebee, very slight retool. But in his vehicle mode, he rolls. Like I said, he has those red and white flames, very nice looking. The yellow on the back as well, red tail lights. Blue translucent windshield and windows, silver headlights, black grille, more yellow there, silver on the hubcaps, and then now the blue, that's the molded plastic, is a bit different from this rear window, or rear windshield, whatever. It is actually the same blue that's on Bumblebee. It's pretty much the same. Bumblebee's is probably a little bit darker, but it's that same slightly metallic looking blue on the rear window. I guess that's just to make it look like there's some difference instead of just being all molded the same color. It's less noticeable on Nightbeat, more prominent on Bumblebee. But hey, that's about it. The bottom of his vehicle mode, you can see his hands, and then Autobot logo. But there's nothing major kibble-wise for the vehicle mode, so I like that. So that's really it for the vehicle mode. So let's get to the transformation. The first step is to pop out these doors. You gotta be careful, at least on mine, because it's really tight. So you just bring out that door like that. You bring out that one like that. And you bring this out. Just unpeg it, bring it down to the side. Those will be his arms. And you can actually go ahead and flip this up and then kind of just fold this down and like that. It makes like a Z shape or Z, depending on how you say that letter of the alphabet. So there, you do that on both arms, and there you have his arms. Let me angle this up slightly, just a smidgen. Much better, at least for now. Then you separate back here. These will become the legs. You can do that, and you just fold them down. He has a relatively simple transformation, nothing too complex about this guy. Then you unpeg the feet, flatten them out. It's really simple. A lot of it's just, you know, the back part becomes his legs, the front part becomes his arms, and the middle part becomes his torso. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Now, here on his legs, you have a couple options. These can be moved slightly. If you look here, just look how it moves. It's ever so slight. It's like that. You can kind of slide that. See there, it slides. You can slide it inwards. For the robot mode, which is what I like to do, it kind of fills in the legs just a little bit, leaves a less noticeable gap there on the side, on the back of the leg. So it kind of just fills that in tiny bit, and it's a decent little touch. Alright, I need to angle my camera up yet again. Man, this is kind of a tall figure when transforming him. Once you get him all set, he's not too tall. Then you bring this back. Come on. Oh, sorry, it's not the whole thing, it's just this hood piece. There you go, just like that. And that stores on his back. And then the last thing you want to do is bring this whole chest piece down. It just pegs into place. Make sure there's a little hole there in the back and a tab on the hood. Put that in there. And there you go, there's Nightbeat in his robot mode. Very simple transformation. It's not boring transformation, it's just pretty straightforward. And I'm all about straightforward transformations, because then I cannot get frustrated with them. But yeah, robot mode is pretty cool. Now, what I was mentioning earlier about how I'm okay with it using this mold instead of the Jazz mold is the chest. If he was using the Jazz mold, his chest would be very protruding and rounded, while Nightbeat himself has a very flat chest in pretty much any depiction of the character. The one thing I really wish was different was that they just, that yellow there, just put it all on the chest instead of just in the middle part. Because Nightbeat has a yellow chest. And it was really not that difficult to do. It doesn't affect the vehicle mode any. And, you know, just put a little bit of yellow in there. Or at least stripes there. Just add a bit more yellow to the chest. Other than that, I don't really have any major complaints about this figure. At least none that are more than nitpicks. So that's good. You can bring his gun back in. You can put that in his hand. And he can have his gun. And that's okay. And, you know, I don't really like that gun for Nightbeat. It's too big. It really is. It's very gaudy. And I don't really like the... It's okay gun for Bumblebee. I just don't really like it for Nightbeat. I wish they had switched the weapons on him. Kind of like they did with Armada, Starscream, and Jaxus in the Generations line. To swap their weapons out like that. I would have been okay with that. But I mean, hey, it's still a nice weapon. It just doesn't really seem to fit Nightbeat. So I'm just going to set that back off to the side for now. And I will look at the articulation now. The articulation is pretty good on this figure. He can rotate in the shoulder, swivel out and in a little bit. The upper arm doesn't really do anything at all. It's just molded there. But at the elbow it can rotate, bend at the elbow. The hands can not really do anything either. So the arms are a bit limited, but the legs are okay. The legs can go out, in, rotate at the thigh, bend at the knee, all the way back. It's one joint, but it can bend all the way back. So that's cool. The feet, pretty much on ball joints up in the ankle, back there. So you can move them any which way. And then they also have a bit of swivel due to the transformation at the very bottom of the foot. And then the head, it can rotate side to side, but it cannot look up and down because it's not on a ball joint, it's just on a little rotator. So that's it for articulation. So let me get a close-up real quick, just so I can show off the detailing on this guy a bit better. Now, his robot mode doesn't have any particularly great amounts of detailing or paint apps, but I still like the look of it. His head mold's really cool. It's got that red visor, yellow face, black antennas, blue. It looks like a Nightbeat. It's Nightbeat's head. He's got that nice red Autobot logo there. The yellow paint, and there's a nice touch, but again, I would have liked more all over. You can see the paint apps from earlier, from the headlights and everything, from the vehicle mode. Some decent, but not great, molded detailing in the waist and the arms, and even a little bit in the legs, but nothing fantastic. He's a very smooth figure. Like I said, there's nothing really remarkable about him. It still looks nice. It's just he feels a bit lacking in his robot mode. Though granted, I still like it because Nightbeat's a cool character, and I still feel that this is a very cool figure. It's just he's lacking a bit of oomph that I wish he had. You know what I mean? So yeah. And just to give you an idea of the size of Nightbeat, here he is next to the classic Seeker Mold Generations Thundercracker. Can just stand up? There we go. They're about even head-wise. Nightbeat's just a tiny bit taller, and he's kind of lanky, so he gives off the appearance of being a tall deluxe, but realistically he's only slightly taller than the average Deluxe. And while we have him set off to the side, let's put Bumblebee in there as well, just so you can get an idea of what he looks like in comparison to the original version of this mold. Yeah, as you can see here, the main difference is just the paint and then the head mold. Bumblebee actually has a lot more detailing in his robot mode as far as paint. He has some stripes, he has more color variation on his arms, and then even there on his feet, he's got that gray and red. Nightbeat just has the blue. It's not bad overall. Because not a whole lot was changed on this guy, I wish they just added a bit more of a special touch. Especially because I really do like the character of Nightbeat. So I'm a little bit biased and wanting him to look especially cool. But, you know, I mean, I still really do like the figure. It's a good figure. It's not as good as it could have been, but it's still good. And I do definitely recommend picking this guy up. And just as we close out here, I'm going to put the gun back in his hand so you can get the full image here of what you're working with. Yeah. But yeah, definitely if you get the chance, I would recommend picking up Nightbeat. He's a fun toy, he is, and I do like the character, so again, I'm a little bit biased in saying you should pick him up. But if you don't want the Bumblebee or the Goldfire or Goldbug version of this mold, Nightbeat is definitely a good reason to pick this guy up, because there haven't been very many versions of Nightbeat, at least not ones that are as good as this. So definitely give this guy a shot. That's what I think. But that's it for this review, so thank you very much for watching, and this has been my review of Generations Nightbeat. I will see you guys in my next review.